Hello dear students, in this lesson we'll explore the OWASP Top 10 2025, starting with its background, the shift from web to AI and LLM security, how the list was created, an overview of its categories, why it matters for developers and organizations, and finally, how we'll work with it throughout the course. So here's what we'll be covering today. First, I'll set the stage by explaining what OWASP is, why the top 10 became the industry's common language for security, and how it frames our course. Next, we'll trace the shift from traditional web threats to AI and LLMs so you see how the threat landscape and the attack surface has evolved. After that, I will show you how the OWASP Top 10 2025 was created, from data collection and community input to prioritization and final selection. With that foundation in place, we'll take a concise tour of the 10 categories in the 2025 list so you know the terrain before we go deeper. Then we'll discuss why this matters for both developers and organizations, from compliance and audits to reducing real-world risk and cost. Finally, I'll outline how we'll work with the top 10 in this course. Hands-on demonstrations, practical examples, and defensive patterns you can apply immediately, along with the outcomes you can expect by the end. So, let's begin. Before we dive into the details, let me give you a very brief context. OWASP, the Open Web Application Security Project, is a non-profit and community-driven initiative that began more than 2 decades ago. Over time, it has become the global standard for application security knowledge and best practices, trusted by developers, auditors, and organizations around the world. One of its most influential contributions is the OWASP Top 10, a list of the most critical security risks. The purpose of this list is not only to rank threats, but also to raise awareness, provide a common language for the industry, and guide teams towards secure development. Because the threat landscape evolves so quickly, the top 10 is refreshed every few years. The 2025 version is particularly important because it reflects new realities, including the rise of AI and LLM-based systems, and highlights how the associated risks have matured. In this lesson, I will be brief here during the introduction of OWASP as an organization, since you will find dedicated lessons about the OWASP organization, an overview of the different releases of top 10 list, and the key differences across various years. This slide is simply a quick foundation before we move into the details of the 2025 list. Over the last few decades, the security landscape has shifted dramatically. In the early days, the primary focus was on traditional web applications, where risks such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and insecure authentication dominated the conversation. These threats are still relevant today, but the emergence of artificial intelligence and especially large language models has introduced an entirely new set of challenges. LLM-based systems require special attention because they are not just passive applications. They generate content, interact with users in natural language, and often make decisions or trigger actions in larger workflows. This unique role means that vulnerabilities look very different. Data poisoning, prompt injection, model manipulation, and unauthorized access to sensitive prompts are risks that traditional web security frameworks were not designed to handle. Recognizing this shift, OWASP has expanded its focus beyond classical web application security to include the risks associated with AI and LLMs. By doing so, it provides developers and security professionals with a structured way to understand and address these emerging threats. In other words, just as the original OWASP Top 10 became the standard for web security, the LLM-focused list is now helping us establish a foundation for safe and responsible use of AI in real-world systems. When we talk about the OWASP Top 10, it is important to understand that this list is not based on guesswork or the opinion of a small group of people. Instead, it is built on a rigorous community-driven methodology. Data comes from multiple sources: surveys of security professionals, statistics collected from real-world systems, and documented incidents that reveal how vulnerabilities are actually being exploited in practice. By combining these perspectives, OWASP ensures that the top 10 reflects the most relevant and pressing risks faced by organizations today. Once the data is collected, the process does not stop there. The community, which includes developers, auditors, researchers, and security experts worldwide, engages in discussions, workshops, and voting sessions. Different voices contribute feedback, refine the definitions of each risk, and help prioritize which threats deserve a place on the list. This collaborative approach guarantees that the final top 10 is not only comprehensive but also practical, offering guidance that resonates with people working on the front lines of application and AI security. In this way, the OWASP Top 10 for 2025 is the result of a global conversation, shaped by both data and experience, and designed to be a trusted resource for everyone building or securing modern applications. To orient you before we dive deeper, the 2025 OWASP Top 10 for LLM applications spans 10 tightly connected risk areas that map to how modern AI systems are actually built and used. We begin with prompt injection category, where adversaries steer a model through crafted inputs, and sensitive information disclosure category, which covers leaks of secrets, personal data, or proprietary content through model interactions. The third, supply chain category, reminds us that vulnerabilities often arrive via models, datasets, plugins, and third-party tools. Closely related is data and model poisoning category, which targets the integrity of training, fine-tuning, or feedback loops to subvert model behavior over time. From there, improper output handling category highlights the risks of treating model outputs as trustworthy without validation, while excessive agency category focuses on overprivileged agents that can take actions or invoke tools beyond what is safe. System prompt leakage category addresses exposure of hidden instructions and internal policies that many systems incorrectly assume are private. With vector and embedding weaknesses, we look at flaws in RAG pipelines and embedding stores that can be poisoned, exfiltrated, or misused. Then misinformation captures harms from fabricated or misleading outputs that can erode trust and decision quality. Finally, unbounded consumption reframes denial of service for the AI era. Uncontrolled costs, context growth, and resource exhaustion across inference, storage, and APIs. What is decisive about this edition is that it explicitly recognizes LLM and AI-specific threats, moving beyond traditional web concerns to the realities of prompt-driven systems, tool-calling agents, and retrieval pipelines. In the course, we will unpack each category with demonstrations and defenses. For now, keep in mind that these 10 areas cover the full life cycle of LLM applications, from data and models to plugins, prompts, outputs, and operations. Understanding and applying the OWASP Top 10 is not just an academic exercise. It has very real consequences for both developers and organizations. First, it plays a crucial role in compliance and audits. Many industry standards, regulations, and even customer contracts explicitly reference the OWASP Top 10 as a baseline for secure development. If your application ignores these principles, you may fail an audit, face legal exposure, or lose business opportunities. Beyond compliance, there is the question of actual risk in real products. Security incidents are costly, damaging both financially and reputationally, and they can erode user trust in a matter of hours. By aligning development practices with the OWASP Top 10, teams reduce the likelihood of vulnerabilities that could be exploited in production. It is not just about passing a checklist. It is about building resilient systems that protect data, customers, and the business itself. Finally, let us not forget the human dimension. For individual developers, gaining expertise in the OWASP Top 10 significantly boosts career opportunities. Security skills are in high demand, and professionals who can design, build, and audit applications with security in mind are among the most valued in today's market. In short, adopting the OWASP Top 10 benefits everyone. Organizations become safer and more compliant, products become more trustworthy and developers themselves grow in both competence and career potential. In this course, our approach to the OWASP Top 10 for 2025 will be both practical and applied. We will not simply read through the list of categories and definitions. Instead, you will see real demonstrations of vulnerabilities so that you can understand how attacks actually unfold in practice. Alongside these demonstrations, we will explore defensive techniques, best practices, and protective patterns that you can adopt immediately in your own projects. By combining theory with hands-on examples, the aim is to make security feel less abstract and much more relevant to the challenges you face as developers and engineers. By the end of this course, you will have gained a solid understanding of how the OWASP Top 10 2025 is structured and why each category matters. More importantly, you will be able to apply its recommendations to your own work, recognizing potential weaknesses and integrating security thinking into your design and development process. This section also serves as preparation. It will give you the foundation you need before we dive deeper into each category in the following lessons. That way, you will be ready to engage with more complex scenarios, connect the dots across different risks, and ultimately strengthen both your technical skills and your ability to build secure, trustworthy systems. That's all what I plan to discuss with you in this lesson. Let's recap what we've learned today. We explored the background of OWASP and understood why the Top 10 has become the global standard for application security. We discussed how the security landscape shifted from traditional web applications to modern AI and LLM systems. We examined the methodology behind the 2025 list and how the community collected and prioritized risks. We reviewed the 10 categories of the OWASP Top 10 2025 at a high level, noting the new AI-specific risks. We considered why the top 10 matters for both developers and organizations, from compliance to real-world risk reduction. We looked at how this course will cover each category through demonstrations, best practices, and defensive patterns. That's all for this lesson. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a great day and see you in the next lesson.